Hi, I'm going to show you how to set up your first Facebook ads campaign to drive traffic to your website and hopefully in turn get people to come over and visit your church. Okay, so we've done this for quite a few churches now. It's kind of a rinse and repeat method. I'm not going to get into all of the details here just because that would be a pretty long video, and we'll actually have an entire training course available for you to walk through in the near future. But in this course, I'm just basically going to show you real quick outline of how to get this thing going. So if you don't already have a Facebook ads account, you'll need to go to business.facebook.com and you'll need to create an account and link it to your Facebook page. And if you don't have a Facebook page for the church yet, you'll need to obviously do that as well. So once those two were linked, you add a payment method to your Facebook ads account, and then you can start creating campaigns. So there are multiple types of campaigns that you can run through Facebook. Honestly, it could get very complicated and sophisticated, and however, I'm just going to keep it like the most basic campaign that Facebook is even has available for you. So you should be seeing a back end kind of like this for your Facebook ads account. So this is a pretty new ads account. This is actually for a separate ministry, but we haven't run any ads to this, so it's a perfect one to kind of show you on. So what I'm going to do here, I can either click here or click here to create ad, but we are going to go ahead and click on this one to create a new campaign. So as you can see, there are multiple different types of campaigns that we can run. We can run a conversions ad. Conversions ads are what we would want to run potentially on the back end when we're using something called the Facebook Pixel. But again, that's going to get a little bit too sophisticated for this video, and we will cover all of that in our training course whenever that comes out. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to do a very basic traffic campaign. What this is telling Facebook is to find people who are most likely to click on the ad and go to the website. So that's different from, let's say we're going to do, let's say you have a video that you wanted to launch. Well, we would actually pick the video views campaign, but for this is just going to be a static campaign that we're going to run, meaning that we're going to have a static image with text and a button, and that's going to go over to a website or somewhere on the website that we're going to look to potentially convert that user or that visitor into a visitor on Sunday morning. So let's just go ahead and name this. I really like to name the campaigns something that I will be able to make sure that I know exactly what it is. So the way that I like to do this, let's say we do increase member base, and I'm going to do traffic. So I'm telling myself, because this is not going to tell me on the front end whenever we have this campaign running, this is not going to tell me what kind of campaign it is. It could be a video campaign, it could be a conversions campaign. Well, if I don't name it, I will have no idea what I'm looking at later on. So I'm going to do increase member base traffic campaign. Okay, so I'm going to hit continue. Don't worry about these are going to get really complicated. We don't need to worry about that right now. So you're going to hit continue. All right, so this is where you're going to set up. This is the next stage. So the way that this is set up is you have a campaign. Inside of a campaign, you can have multiple ad sets. Ad sets are where you control things like what traffic you're going to target. It controls what you're going to spend on that ad set. It controls where that ad is going to show between Instagram, Facebook Messenger, Facebook News Feed, that kind of a thing. and then within each ad set, you have multiple ads that you can run kind of as an A/B test against each other. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let's say I want to target people within, let's say, 10 miles of my church and people who are interested in maybe similar pastors. This is how I really like to do our targeting. So you'll essentially figure out, okay, well, my church is similar to this pastor. So let's say for an example, let's say that my church is very similar to Stephen Furtick. So that's I think Elevation Church out on the East Coast. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to build up a campaign. I'm going to name this ad set first off. So I'm going to do I'm going to say local Christians, and I'm going to put probably ages, let's say you have a somewhat of an older crowd you're going after. Let's say we do 28 to, let's say, I don't know, 62. No, let's do 60. So 28 to 60, all, meaning that we're going to go after male and female in this ad set. So we could actually target males, we could target females. You can get really sophisticated with your ads. Like, let's say you wanted to run somewhat of a female-driven ad. Let's say you were running hey, we want to grow the women's ministry in our church. Well, at that point, you'd want to do most likely local. You'd want to do the target. Let's say the women's ministry. You're probably going to go after probably the same age group, and then you would change this to women. And then when you're coming down here in your audience, you would select only women. But for this, we're going to do all. Okay, so the traffic. Choose where your traffic, where you want to drive traffic. Well, for this, what I'm showing you here, this is to send people to your website. There's a lot of sophisticated things that we can run in here. We could send people straight to a messenger ad that's way more sophisticated than we need to get right now. But don't worry about really any of this dynamic creative offer. We're not running any kind of an offer right now. This is just a basic traffic campaign. All right, so the audience. This is probably the most important thing you're going to do in this ad. You have to get your targeting right, and it's really important for you to be able to look yourself in the mirror, look your church in the mirror, and figure out who are you most like. Because what we have to do is we have to create a very detailed, characteristic type of list of, what is your church like? What are the people like? What do they like? What are their interests? How old are they? That kind of a thing. We have to build this targeting so that this ad shows to the people who are most likely to come and visit your church on a Sunday morning. And it's really not every Christian is going to be your target market. You might be a young church. You might want to go after young people. You might want to go after older people, middle-aged people. You might want to go after parents with kids. There's all kinds of things that can be built in here. It's really important for you to figure out your targeting. And that's actually going to be an entire training that we're going to have as well, to really show you a process of figuring out your detailed targeting. But I'm gonna in this little video, I'm just gonna show you an example of how to find how to build a targeting based off of a church that's like Elevation Church out on the East Coast. So I've done 28 to 60, so I need to match this. And sometimes you want to do your targeting first, and then you'll go up and label your ad set, but you can do either or. So let's say we're going to target, let's say we're in San Diego, California. So my first thing is I need to do the location. For you, you can just do local, because that is, for you, that's local. But what you're going to need to do is you need to type in San Diego, and this will pop up, San Diego, California. So I'm going to target the entire city. We can also create... So there's a drop-in that comes in here, everyone in this location, people who live in this location, recently in this location, that kind of a thing. What I like to do for churches is I like to do everyone in this location, because you tend to have people who are visiting. Let's say you have someone who's visiting on a business trip for 2 weeks or a weekend, or they might be visiting family. Well, if you do everyone in this location, it's going to show anyone who currently resides in that area. And you can pick up some guests that way. And that could be a good way to reach people who are in that area for the weekend. So I am going to just do San Diego. Didn't actually take, so I need to do this again, San Diego. And I'm going to target a radius. So 25 miles in the San Diego area, to me, that's a little bit big. Mainly because you have, in California, if you guys are in California, if you're watching this and you're in California, you have a much higher density of people. So going 25 miles out is actually a lot. Whereas if you were in like a rural part of Missouri or Kansas or Iowa, if you're in parts like that, I would actually go up to about 20-25 miles, because people in those parts of the country are more used to traveling greater distances because they live further out and they're just used to it. Whereas in San Diego, no one's going to drive 25 miles in San Diego is like an hour drive. So you want to probably stick with something a little bit more like 10 miles. So I'm going to take this all the way down to 10 miles. And you'll start to see that Facebook is building an audience size over here. That's awesome. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to match my age. So I've got 28 to 60. So I'm going to go 28 to 60. All right, so this just dropped it to 1.2 million. And now we're going to go into, and we're doing all, and now we're going to go into detailed targeting. This is really, really, really important. So this is where you're going to start really building the specifics of your audience. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type in Steven Furtick. Right there. Okay, so 3 million people are interested in Steven Furtick, which is awesome. So that lowers our reach down to 66,000 people, which that is actually a really good targeting audience. You don't want to be up in the 500,000. If you're at 500,000 in any metropolitan area, your targeting is way too big. You really want to be around 66,000 is actually pretty large, but you really want to be around probably 20 to 70. You can go up to 100,000 if you are a pretty like a non-denominational church can probably be up in the around 100,000 if you're in a large metropolitan area. But the smaller you go, often the more detailed the targeting could be. So what I like to do is, okay, Steven Furtick, what kind of message does he preach? What kind of guy is he? So what I would do is I'd start to try to build off of Steven Furtick. I try to figure out, okay, what kind of pastors are similar to Steven Furtick? So sometimes you can go here under suggestions, Joel Osteen, Joyce Meyer, Chris Tomlin. So one of the things I love to do with church plant marketing is I like to also go after worship bands. So Chris Tomlin, Hillsong, that could actually be a really good one to go after. So I'm gonna put Chris Tomlin. That's pretty similar. I might actually go after Elevation Worship, since that is right up. That is actually Steven Furtick. So it's 921,000. Awesome. So looks like this actually just took us way down under 1,000 people. So that's going to be a little bit too small. So we're actually going to need to back this off a little bit. All right, so let's take away. All right, just 1 second. I'm going to hit pause. Okay, so there actually is an issue right now with Facebook targeting. Typically, as you start to build this audience, so include people who match at least one of the following. As you start to build this audience, this should actually grow. I believe there's an error right now in the Facebook targeting. Facebook has been going through a lot of challenges lately, so just keep that in mind as you're building. Typically what you want to do here, you don't just target one person, but you would want to start targeting. So I'm going to do Elevation Church here, Elevation Church, Elevation Worship. So you're basically covering all of your bases here. And then I'm going to hit suggestions. Might also like Chris Tomlin. There we go. Okay, it's working now. Just a second ago, as we were starting to build this, it dropped below 1,000, which that doesn't make sense. It looked like it just corrected itself. So you can see here, this audience is actually starting to grow. So that's great. 72,000, that's probably around the number we want to be at, but let's see if there's anything else here that really helps us, get what we're looking for. If you're a little bit more on the charismatic side, Hillsong could be a really good one to go after for targeting, because you're going to get 6.7 million people who match that. Now, that's not 6.7 million people in the San Diego area. That would just be 6.7 million people, period. So if I click this, it'll probably raise our 72,000 up to, 75,000 maybe. We'll see. It actually raised it to 120. So there's a lot of people who have identified as liking Hillsong United. That audience, that's a little big for me. I would probably want to pull one of these off. So if I'm going through here and I'm trying to figure out, okay, which one maybe doesn't quite fit. Well, if you're on the more charismatic side, I would probably pull off Chris Tomlin here, and that might take me back down to, no, that didn't take me down much. Let's just take off Hillsong. We're gonna get 68,000 people. That's a pretty good target right there. You can also, if you really want to get specific, you can add additional. So I'll max out of this. So exclude people or narrow audience. So let's say you, gosh, I don't know. Let's say you're in a really large metropolitan area. Let's say you're in, let's see, where is Saddleback? That's Rick Warren's church. Let's say you're, let me look that up really quick. Saddleback Church. So I'm going to show you an example here. If you are in a city with a large church, let's see, it is in Lake Forest. So let's say you're a church around the Lake Forest area, like you're in Orange County and trying to grow your church. Well, what I might want to do here is, or let's say you're actually on the East Coast and you're by Stephen Furtick's church and you're trying to get people. Essentially, this is a competitor. So what I would do is I might try to exclude people who actually go to that church, because I'm not trying to steal people's, I'm not trying to steal Stephen Furtick's members. I'm not trying to steal Rick Warren's members. So I might type in here Saddleback Church, people who, Saddleback Church. Let's see if it even comes up. Let's see if Rick Warren comes up. Sometimes these don't come up because they are still fairly small, but Elevation Worship. So if I was wanting to target that, I don't think it's coming up because I already have it listed up here, but that's just an example of what you could do to exclude people. Or I can narrow my audience. Say I have 68,000 people. So this is saying include people who match at least one of the following. Okay, so people who like Elevation Worship, who like Elevation Church, and who like Stephen Furtick. Well, let's say we also want to make sure that they are, I highly doubt that this would ever happen, but just in case somebody, let's say you have an interest here that does not label them as a Christian. Well, you might want to say that they identify as a Christian. So you might want to say like, Christian music. That's probably a good one. No Christians. Non-Christians don't typically like Christian music. So that would be one. I might say they're into Jesus Christ. Employers, interest, Jesus. I might say that they're interested in, I don't know. I'm kind of blanking. The Bible. So these are ways to start. As you'll see, like this isn't really changing the audience because most of these people who like these already also like these. So that's why we're not really getting any more exclusive. But let's say I was wanting to go out. I keep giving example after example. This is the thing that you want to spend a lot of time on, this targeting here. And like I said, we're going to have an additional training course on how to really build this thing out. But for now, let's just go with this. Okay, don't worry about connections, placements. For this, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail because this video is already getting pretty long, but you can edit your placements here if you want. If you only want to show it on Facebook news feed or you only want to show it in Messenger, you can do that. I'm just going to do automatic placements for now. This is going to show it on Instagram, so keep that in mind. Okay, so how much do I want to spend? This is going to be a daily budget, or I can do a lifetime budget. Let's say I am only wanting to run an ad and I don't want to spend anything more than $500, so I can do a lifetime budget. But I'm just going to say let's spend $10 a day. That's a pretty healthy amount. Maybe $5 a day if you're on a budget. But don't worry about anything else here. Don't worry about anything else right now. Go ahead and hit continue. And now we're going to start building out our ad. This is where you'll select if you're admin of multiple pages. So we run a lot of pages for our clients. So there are, you just got to pick the pages you want to go after. So this particular one, I believe is called Rendered Den of Truth. I believe that's under my personal, you know what, I'm not even sure if we've created this. We'll just go under this one. So you also select your Instagram account if you have one. And this is where you're going to start building the ad. And I'm not actually going to go into building out this ad because this takes a while too. But basically you'll select an image. One really cool thing is you can get free stock images. So I'm just going to build you a real quick basic ad. So let's just say we type in worship. It's taking a minute. So I like this one. I really like reds and purples. I think those really stand out on a newsfeed. So this ad looks like something. It's got a little bit of pink and a little purple. This one's also good. I'm going to go with this one. Hit continue. This is actually going to start building in the ad for me. Alright, uploads into there. After looking at it, that's actually not, I don't really like that after it comes up. It's a little, oops. It just is not really what I'm looking for. This, you can actually select multiple images, and I do recommend this. If you can get multiple images in here, do it, because you can then test which one is the best. So you could go with this one, you could go with this one, you could go with this one, and I mean, you can just keep using these. Facebook has a licensing agreement with Shutterstock, and you can basically use all these images in your ads for free, which is really cool. And I'll just select this one and this one. So now what we're doing is we've got 5 different ads that can run, and it can all use different images, which is super cool. The text, basically, I'm not going to write this for you, but if you need some help on this, let me know. But you basically just write something that invites them to the church, and then you'll have your URL go in here, your headline. It could be something like new church in San Diego, California. Visit today. I don't recommend following this because this is not actually what I'd write. I'm just giving you an example. Don't worry about any of this news feed description. You don't need that. And then the pixel, this is also something that I'm going to have to cover in a completely another training, but you need to make sure that you have your Facebook pixel. Excuse me. You need to make sure you have your Facebook pixel on the website. Okay, so once you have this all finished up, you're going to, I'll just type something in here. Let's just say we are a new church in San Diego who believes in the fullness of what Christ came to do for us. This is very basic. This is like, I don't copy this text. This is like I'm just writing this off the cuff right now. You really want to dive into your brand, really what you have to offer. We have some churches who are a little more on the charismatic side, and we would say something like, we're a new church in San Diego who believes in all the gifts of the Spirit. Let's go ahead and capitalize that. Now, one of the things I also like to do, a real cool trick here, is I would say, attention, San Diego, and I would hit enter. So that really helps identify, oh, hey, I'm in San Diego, and it like kind of catches someone's attention. And then you just keep building this out, I'm not going to write the whole ad. I keep saying that, but I keep seemingly go further and further. But anyway, so you'd write that out, invite people, you're going to put in your URL right here. We're just going to do this because this will put the URL right there. Cool. And then that's actually it. And then you'd hit confirm, and the ad will have to go through an approval process, and once it's approved, it will launch live. Okay, so that is basically how you build your first traffic campaign for increasing your membership base. There are multiple other ad campaigns that you can run. Really, the sky is the limit on what you can do here, but we're already up on almost 25 minutes, so I want to go ahead and shut this training down. All right, thank you, and let us know if you have any questions.